Hello folks, today I'm going to be starting something a little different for me. I've never done this before. I'm going to be trying an old-fashioned reading vlog / read along. I'm going to be documenting the process of reading Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. This is her latest thriller, her 5th thriller. And fun fact, this is an advanced reader copy that I actually got a few months ago, but just started reading a couple of days ago. But I didn't know until after I got it and, was actually trying to read it the other day, that it's labeled as an advanced reader copy, not for sale, which I had never gotten one of those before. Like, I've gotten advanced reader copies, but they were all like, they looked like they were ready to be put on the shelf at Barnes & Noble or wherever. So I can't sell this to Recycled Reader, the local used bookstore, when I finish it. And so I started reading this a few days ago. Now, I did not read the synopsis before starting because I kind of like going into books with no expectations, like not really knowing what's going to happen. Like lately I've started doing that, where I just don't read the synopsis before I start. But it's about this girl named Daisy Darker, and her grandma is about to have her 80th birthday, and she gathers her entire family over to the grandmother's house to celebrate her 80th birthday. And she's going to be reading her will, and the family is anticipating what they might be getting. And I'm only on page 70 or 80 right now, but somebody's already dead. That's not a spoiler. Like, it's kind of marketed as kind of the And Then There Were None Agatha Christie type story, which if you know anything about And Then There Were None, everyone ends up dying. So they're going to be killed off one by one. And something this book features that I discovered last night that really excited me was a creepy children's poem about the events that are set to happen in the book. And I love it when a thriller includes a creepy poem. I don't know why, but I just think that's really interesting. So last night I got to the first murder, and well, the family doesn't suspect that it's a murder yet, but we all know that it is. So steadily, I guess the characters are going to be killed off one by one. We gotta figure out who's the killer. I'm very excited about this. I have read this is her Alice Feeney's 5th book. I read the first 3, but I have not read her 4th one, Rock, Paper, Scissors. That one came out last year, I believe. I haven't read that one yet. But the first 3 really impressed me. Alice is a crazy thriller writer. She's really good at twists and turns, and maybe I just don't see twists coming, but I rarely see the twists coming in her books. So she does a really good job. So tonight when I do my reading, because I always read before bed, I will document as I'm reading, or whenever I come to a twist, I'll like update you then. So this is the beginning of my reading vlog for Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney, and I hope you will continue to watch and enjoy it. Hello everyone, editing me here. I realized I never listed off the members of the family, so I'm going to insert that clip now. Okay, so the family matriarch is Nana. Her name is Beatrice Darker. Her son Frank is the father of Lily, Rose, and Daisy. He was married to Nancy, who was the kid's mom, but they divorced when they were all pretty young. And the oldest daughter's name is Rose. And then you have Lily, and then her daughter Trixie, which is Rose and Daisy's niece. She's 15. And you have Daisy, who is the youngest. And then the final character who's in the house during all this is Connor, the family friend, who the daughters grew up with. And Nana absolutely adores. So that's the family tree. I just wanted to throw that in there. Hello everyone. I am here to give my first update on my reading of Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. I knew from the first couple of days of reading it, this family is just sad. This is one of the saddest families I've ever read about. And, like, honestly, they're pretty effed up. Especially the middle sister. She's crazy. And I just feel bad for the main character, Daisy. Like, she's had the most traumatic life, dude. And it's just sad. The second murder happened. They're starting to suspect each other, the family is. And I forgot to mention earlier, there's like all these creepy hints, like there'll be like an old VHS tape with like Scrabble letters that say hear me or watch me, and the family sits down to watch them, and they're always like creepy memories I dredged up from the sisters, Daisy and her sister's childhood. So I'm on page, I didn't look, but I'm around page 130. So I'm a solid third to halfway through the book. It's getting good, y'all. Like, I don't really want to stop reading, but like, I'm tired. So I'm gonna quit for the night. I'll talk to you again soon. I forgot to share a thought that I had. Okay, so the main character, Daisy Darker, we're supposed to like her. She's supposed to be a sympathetic character because she was born with that heart condition, which I forgot to mention, that makes her die several times. So she's died at least 5 times in her life, and we've gotten to the 5th one where she describes it, and she's painted to be sympathetic because like her family didn't really want her, blah blah blah. They've treated her like crap her whole life. But she ended one of the chapters by saying, I have a secret. And some people are willing to kill to keep secrets. And I was just like, who is the killer? I have no clue. Okay, hey y'all, another update. I've been reading for about the last hour. I read about 50-60 pages, give or take. So I'm at just past page 200, a little over halfway through the book. And this book is crazy, y'all. Nobody else has died yet, but the family is starting to suspect each other, and it's really cool because it's present day, but you also get flashbacks to the 80s when the family was growing up. So that's really interesting. And I'm really enjoying it. It's really creepy. I'm always reading it in the dark before bed. So like just now my husband came into the bedroom to get something, and hearing his footsteps approaching was like I knew it was him, obviously, but it was still spooky. Because the whole thing is they're trapped in this house on like a secluded tiny island in England. It's old, and they're totally secluded because the causeway where people drive up to is flooded because they're in the middle of a really creepy storm. So it's so classic, you know. But I have no idea what's gonna happen. The poems are intriguing me. They're spooky. Alice Feeney is doing an excellent job as usual, and I will update more. Hey folks, today's September 1st, so Daisy Darker was published officially 2 days ago, at least in the US. I only read a few pages last night because I was tired, so I'm only on page like 140. But it had ended, the chapter I finished ended on a happy note because the family was watching a video, a home video from Christmas from, I can't remember what year it was, but Daisy was about 7 at the time. And her oldest sister, Rose, got a telescope and sticky glow-in-the-dark stars for Christmas from their dad. And the chapter ends with the older sister putting the stars in Daisy's room. And Daisy's like, why would you do that? And she goes, because you deserve to see the stars too. I'm happy that Rose at least isn't a total bitch towards Daisy, because Lily, the middle sister, is like psychotic. I don't know what her problem is, but she's like crazy and like legit. So it was nice that little happy note happened. So I'm gonna read some more tonight, hopefully read more than I did last night, and I'll update you then. Okay, I was gonna wait and record in the morning, but I just finished Daisy Darker after reading it for 2 or 3 hours straight. Didn't plan to stay up till 5 reading, but that's what happened. Very twisty, very turny, not expecting what happened. Maybe you will. Maybe you're smarter than me, I don't know. I'll give more thoughts in the morning or tomorrow, but I sound like shit because I just laid there reading because I couldn't stop. I could not let it go. So 4 out of 5 stars. I want to give it 5, but I don't know. I will give more thoughts tomorrow. Hello everyone, it is now morning, and I laid awake last night after 5 until after 6 a.m. just thinking about this book. And it's funny because I did most of my reading of it at night before bed, and every time I would close the book, all I could think about until I went to sleep was the book. It was like consuming me. Honestly, the end, I have so many thoughts. Parts of it made me sad because, as I mentioned, the whole family except for the grandma and the niece Trixie, treated Daisy like absolute garbage. Nobody wanted her. It was just so sad. And it made me angry too, because like, how can you treat your own family like that? It was disgusting. And then honestly, I guess maybe I should have seen the final twist coming, but I didn't. The second and final one, the main one. I should have seen it coming, but I did not. I don't know if I just wasn't paying close enough attention, or I'm just not smart enough, but I didn't figure it out. I am going to mention spoilers in a little bit, but I will warn you so you can click away. So no worries about that. I don't really know how to discuss the book without giving spoilers, but I will say a couple of things before I get to the spoiler part. Every time a member of the family was killed, they had 2 items that were sentimental to them somehow tied to their hands with red ribbon. So that was kind of spooky. I'm not going to tell you what they were for each person because, you know, you can read it and find out for yourself. But that was pretty spooky. Like, honestly, last night when I stayed up 2 or 3 hours to finish the book, I could hear my husband working in the other room, and I had the ceiling fan on, which is surprisingly loud. Like, it's on right now. Can y'all hear that? And I couldn't, like, I kept thinking he was gonna walk into the room, and it kind of scared me. Because it was just so spooky, man. And then, towards the end, they hear footsteps in the house. So that was spooky. This book, I'm not going to stop thinking about this for a while. I've never really thought about a thriller more. So, absolute huge props to Alice Feeney for that. She's officially become an author that I'm going to read all of her books. I need to read Rock, Paper, Scissors now because that was the one that came out before this one, and shockingly I never got around to reading it. But I'm definitely going to read it now. Honestly, I did not read the synopsis before starting. I had a brief idea about what it's about because on the back cover it says that it's like, and then there were none sort of story. So I knew that much. But anything else that happened, I wasn't expecting. I genuinely, like, I would rack my brain and try to think about who the killer was. But, I didn't figure it out. So that was a shock to me. And speaking of the killer, I am now going to get into spoilers. So, are you ready? If you don't want to have any spoilers, if you don't want to read this book, click away now. So, that's 4. Okay, so 3, 2, 1, spoiler time. Daisy was dead the whole time. They pulled a Sixth Sense on us. It ended up making sense because, like, Daisy had to have, like, the whole thing explained to her because she didn't even realize she was dead. But, the final home video they watch is about the night that she died. And, basically, Connor, the family friend, and her 2 older sisters are the reason that she's dead. Because it was after a Halloween party in 1988, and, they were drunk because she snuck out into the party. Because I don't know if I mentioned this before, but because of Daisy's heart condition, she basically wasn't allowed to have a life at all. She had no friends. She was homeschooled. She wasn't really allowed to do she wasn't really allowed to go anywhere without her mom or her grandma. So she's 13 and she snuck to this Halloween party with her sisters and the family friend Connor. Well, I'm not gonna get into this, but she's like trying to run back to the house because she's really upset about something that happened at the party. And she ends up standing in the street, and Connor and the two sisters hit her with their car. And they're like, oh my God, she's dead. Well, she wasn't actually dead. She just couldn't talk for some reason, and she couldn't use her motor functions. And then this was the spookiest shit in the whole world. I wanted to die when I read this. Well, Connor's big idea is that they're just going to throw her over the cliff and make it look like an accident. And Rose really doesn't want to do it, but she agrees in the end. And in the process of throwing her off the cliff after they've let go, Daisy gets back some of her function and she smiles at them. So they know as she's falling off the cliff that she's alive. So they killed her and they act like nothing ever happened. All because Connor was like, we're gonna get in so much trouble because I actually didn't pass my driving test. Blah, blah. Disgusting. Disgusting. I was so mad. But it turns out that, now, okay, so the big twist, or one of the big twists, was that Daisy's been dead the whole time. And the other one is that Trixie, the little 15-year-old niece, Lily, the middle sister's daughter, killed everyone. But you realize, well, who was doing the footsteps upstairs towards the end of the book? Well, it turns out that one of the family members who died wasn't dead. They just made you think she was. It was the grandma, the first one to die. The grandma and the niece were behind the whole thing. They killed everyone. Oh my God. And she was so casual about it. They both were. And to be fair, honestly, I kind of agreed with them when they explained why they did it, because they were right. Daisy's family was awful. And, it turns out that, I think it was about a year before Trixie and the grandma decided to kill the whole family. Nana found out that the kids had actually killed Daisy. And it turns out that the mom, the dad, everyone already knew. So grandma was the last one to find out. She was the only one who truly loved and cared about Daisy. So she was absolutely devastated to learn that her own grandkids and her favorite child, who wasn't her blood, killed her favorite granddaughter, the only one who ever cared about her. So she and Trixie, because Trixie loved her too, because, I forgot to mention, well, if she's a ghost, if Daisy was never alive for Trixie's life, how was Trixie able to see and talk to her? Well, it turns out, we found out this in the end, that Trixie was also born with the same heart condition that Daisy had, but they didn't find out about it until she was 10. So, evidently, because Daisy is a ghost, you can see her in your final hours, or final minutes. So, because Trixie technically died that time, she can now see Daisy and hang out with her and talk to her. So at the end, Nana and Trixie are telling Daisy how they did it, why they did it. It's just, oh my God, I kind of get it. Because her family was awful. And, and Nana was, she had not written a book since the night that Daisy died. Because I may have forgotten to mention this too. I'm sorry, it's my first book vlog. I'm new to this. But Nana was a published author. And she had written several books, and her first one was Daisy Darker's Little Secret, which wasn't actually about Daisy, but it was like, she just happened to use her name. So they kind of threw a red herring in there. Because, towards the end, like in the last third of the book, maybe last quarter, they mention Nana's literary agent, the woman who signed her to, publish books. And I started to think that he was the one who actually was the killer. because Nana had this punch clock in her house. So every time someone would come to visit her, they had their little card and they had to punch in and out whenever they came to visit her. And Daisy went and looked at it, and the literary agent had come the day before and never checked out. But he had nothing to do with it. He was never really mentioned again. And then there was actually another red herring, because on the wall on the first night, I can't remember who it was, I think it was right after Nana died. A poem about the whole family was written on the wall. And as people get killed off, their little couplet about them would be crossed out of the poem. So Trixie's had been crossed out, and she could have died, but she didn't. So that was like a red herring, because she obviously couldn't die because she was a killer, but we didn't know that. Oh my God, it was so ruthless, man. This book was crazy. And how the book ends, like the final pages are that, oh God. Okay, so when Nana and Trixie are explaining to Daisy why they did it, Nana can't see or hear Daisy because she's not dead, obviously. But then the next thing you know, she can see and talk to her. So she took the poison she had used to kill one of the family members. So she dies too at the end. It was kind of suicide, I guess, because she knew what she was doing. And then they were like, you know what? You want to tell your story? Because when my literary agent came over on the night you died, he said, I want to hear about the real Daisy Darker. And Daisy was like, okay, if I write my story, will you read it? And he said, yes, I will. So it ends with her, because for some reason she can type. I don't know why, but she can type on computers. So it ends with her starting to type her story. I guess the story of how she died, because nobody outside the family knew that was how she died. This was a roller coaster for me. I didn't want to stop reading. I read a majority of the book in like 3 or 4 days, which is not usual for me. It usually takes me 1 to 2 weeks to read a book, no matter how much I like it, because it's my own fault. I just don't spend enough time reading. That's my own fault. But that's the end of the spoilers. If you read this, tell me, let's talk about it. This book just came out. I'm going to have both my parents read this. I'm going to recommend it to everybody. I recommend it to all of you. So if you do have spoilers in the comments, please like put like a big space so nobody else sees them until they click on the comment and expand it. But now that I'm thinking about this, I think I'm actually going to give it 5 stars. But hot damn, was this book crazy, and I never knew where it was going. So I post I'm trying to post more on my Bookstagram account where I talk all things books. It's Mrs. Gingham Reads, Mrs.Gingham.reads on Instagram. I'm going to post a review up there and a link to this video. I've been talking for 15 minutes. Jeez. So yeah, that's it. I hope you liked my first book vlog, and just, if you read this book, let's talk about it. See ya.